So I was just looking through all of the applications that you guys have sent in to come and work with me inside of my Pumping for Working Moms program. And I noticed that there were a lot of consistencies. You guys have very similar questions, very similar problems. And honestly, I knew that before I built this program because I did a bunch of research and calls with a lot of you. And I wanted to know what your issues were. What can I help you solve? So not only did I build the curriculum and the support program very specifically and tailored to the working mom who's combining feeding at the breast and pumping, but I just was reminded again that the questions are very similar. So today I want to talk to you about the 5 most common pumping questions I'm seeing from working moms and how we tackle those to help you. If you're new to the channel, my name is Allison Tolman. I am a lactation consultant and a breast pump expert. Also a mom of 3, and I've been back to work myself, and I remember how hard that was. So not only do we talk about breast pump science and reviews and all those kinds of things on this channel, I'm really here to help you learn how to pump fast and efficiently and protect your milk supply while you're back to work. So if that's something that you're interested in, you want that step-by-step program, taking all the information and laid it out for you, and easy access to experts for the rest of your pumping journey, that's exactly what we do inside the Breast Pumping for Working Moms program. And you can apply to work with us down below. Okay, let's jump in. We were able to narrow it down to 5 specific things that we see most common here. A lot of times though, these are all bundled together in a giant mess of problems. We kind of have to untangle them one by one. But the first one and the most common thing that I see mothers struggling with is milk supply concerns. This varies widely on what's happening, but most participants express concerns about maintaining or increasing their milk supply, as well as maximizing output during pumping sessions. And thankfully, we tackle both of these things inside of the program. This is like the main focus, right? Is protecting your milk supply and helping you pump fast and efficient at work, because you guys don't have time to mess around with this, right? Milk supply is always a challenging thing to tackle because first of all, we have to really understand milk supply, not only the supply and demand cycle, which is important, but also what is normal when you're doing something like feeding at the breast and pumping. What do we expect your pumping output to be when you're adding pumping into your feeding schedule or when you're at work replacing feeds? And I think this is where we like to focus, is really bringing together that science and the practical. We know the supply and demand cycle. We know that to get more, you got to ask for more, you got to get more out. But that's not always practical in your life. And so really finding that balance in how we can protect your supply, increase it if we need to, without stressing you out and making it unrealistic is my favorite thing to do, is finding that place. We also have to tackle, do you actually have low milk supply or do we just have low milk output? And these are 2 very different things. In fact, I made a whole separate video on that, which I will post up top for you and down in the description, because these are not the same. Just because you're not getting a lot of milk out with your pump doesn't mean you have low supply necessarily. And so we got to look at the pumping stuff in a bigger picture to figure out what's going on. And then if you're still on maternity leave, which honestly is my favorite place for you to join us because we still get to practice and learn a lot of these techniques in the comfort of your home before you go back to work, is how do we build that small stash before we go back? You need a little bit of milk set aside to feed your baby, especially for those first few days. And if we have any problems, it's nice to have that. So how do we tackle all of that? These are some of the most common questions that I get, and we can teach you and help you alongside of that all inside of our program. Number 2 question that I get a lot is breast pump selection. A significant amount of people that apply are trying to pick a pump, and they're trying to find one that meets the needs of their lifestyle, but also that they can get reliable output from. And what I've found is most people that end up joining us do have one or a couple of solid pumps, and we can almost always work with what they've got. If they want a new pump in the future, it's so easy just to ask an expert like me, and we can just help you pick one. And then you don't have to waste all this money, finding trying different pumps and seeing what works for you, we can look up the settings that you're already using on a pump and compare it to the other pumps. Well, pumps will do similar things. I mean, this saves you money in the long run because you don't have to buy all of these crazy pumps. And I am like a scientist at heart. I really am. So I have dashboards and spreadsheets, and I share all of these with members of our program. You can look up the data too that we've tested and look across pumps and see what you're doing. But that's one of my favorite things to do. It's hard for me to help pick a pump if I don't really know you. And that's, again, something that I really enjoy about our program is I get to know the members and their lifestyles and their challenges. And that's really fun for us. Number 3 common question that I see on our applications are flange sizing and pump settings. And I know it's difficult to find a good flange size, and the recommendations seem to always be changing. And then depending on what pump and accessories you're using, it can vary a little bit there as well. We really are trying to ensure optimal comfort and efficiency. Those are our goals. The thing is that a lot of people can pump comfortably with a size that is wrong, and they can usually get some milk out too. And then once we actually tackle flange sizing, really teaching you to understand this concept, not only just the measure and add this many millimeters, like I wish it was that simple. You really need to know how and why we do this so that you can troubleshoot it for yourself. And that's our goal inside the curriculum of the program, is to teach you how to be your own detective, how to figure things out on your own. And if you need help from a professional, it's right there, and it's there forever. Like, we never kick you out. This is a one-time fee to join us. It's not a membership. We are here for you. But I love to see users figuring this out for themselves because we've taught you and given you the information, not only just this little handout that says do this, but the why. So you can really understand what's happening and maximize things like your flange size and your pump settings on your own so that you can do this and have these skills. You don't always have to rely on an expert or, make an appointment with someone. Like, we don't do appointments in our program anyway. For another reason, I'll put that video up here, why we don't do the one-on-one model. But I love teaching you the why behind things so that you can figure this out long term. Okay, number 4 most common question that we get is about scheduling. Scheduling pumping into your life. And a lot of times we see challenges related to creating and maintaining a pumping schedule, both while on maternity leave and back to work. And these are 2 very different things. Your maternity leave pumping is usually on top of feeding at the breast as well, at least for the people that we work with. I know everyone has a different scenario and you might be exclusively pumping or something like that, but we tend to work mostly with those who are feeding at the breast and pumping in combination. So while you're on maternity leave, when do you start pumping? How do you add that on top of feeding at the breast? What kind of output should you be expecting? How are we getting that little extra milk to build up into the freezer so that you have a little bit when you go back to work, or maybe a lot of it, depending on what your goals are and what makes you most comfortable. And then when we get back to work, then we have to readjust the schedule altogether. And it varies a lot from user to user, I've found. We kind of have a generic schedule, but also this is a place where we teach you what a schedule looks like and how you can look at your output and your life and what your breasts can do and what your pump does consistently. And you can figure out a schedule that works for you. Sometimes we can space out pumping sessions. Sometimes we learn that for you, we have to hit that 2-hour mark or your breasts will slow down production. And so I think that's the interesting thing about scheduling is you can't really just go on Pinterest and find a back to work pumping schedule and expect that it will just work. It does tend to vary quite a bit between users. And then anytime you have a job that is particularly difficult or requires time for you or has a more rigid schedule, that's where it gets really tricky. And those are some of my favorite to work with because once you understand the basics, then we can have that higher level conversation of, okay, so now we know all of the basic information. Let's tackle how do we get you to pump during your OR schedule or during your day where you're giving presentations all day and you only have 5-minute breaks in between. How do we make this work? And so scheduling, I know it's a lot, but we tackle it all. We've had quite a few members graduate our program and are moving on with their life, and we love to see that. And then number 5, I do see this question quite a bit, although it's not the most common question that we get, but pain and discomfort during pumping. These tend to be, related to flange sizing. That's also kind of one of those questions that's tied in. Or maybe they have some unique history like sensitive nipples, or they have vasospasms. Maybe they've had previous damage, or they've had surgery, piercings, all kinds of things that might be causing pain and discomfort while you're pumping. And again, these are usually tied into other questions as well. I know it's a lot, and pumping really is an art. It takes a lot of the little details getting right for everything to work. And if you're having pain or discomfort, that's a huge red flag that you need help, right? More often I'm seeing that stuff is pretty comfortable and it's fine, but there are these other questions, other issues that are happening that we just can't put our finger on. So our goal really here at New Little Life and in this Pumping for Working Moms program is to give you the information that you need, right? The detailed, and we've combed through the information that you don't need and we've left that out. We've really narrowed it down to a step-by-step system of the information you need to know to figure this out for yourself. The curriculum answers 90% of your questions. It's awesome. I love how we've structured it. And then for those really specific things or those problems that you just can't solve, there are experts inside, myself included, that can help you and answer these questions for you anytime. You can get same day answers to your questions. We have weekly group calls where you can get on and talk to us on Zoom, and we get to know you and we know your baby's names. And it's been so fun to work with members long term. I have really enjoyed this as well, more than just one-on-one consults, because working moms in particular, you need more help than just a one-time thing. And I see that in these questions that you're asking. They're complex and there's a lot to learn. Pumping is a totally different skill set than feeding at the breast. And I think we think it's all milk. So once you tackle breastfeeding and you worked so hard to get there and you saw consultants and you did all the things, and now we start pumping and we realize, wow, this is not the same. There are so many things that my baby is doing that just takes care of naturally that now I have to manage on my own with a pump. And my heart goes out to you and I just want to help you. So if you want someone to walk alongside with you, if you want the information organized in an effective and efficient way, we really value efficiency at New Little Life. We don't want you doing stuff you don't have to do. Not only learning inside of our program, but also pumping. We don't want you pumping more than you have to. We're really trying to help you pump fast and efficiently, and that's our goal here. If you want to work with us, there's an application down below to apply. You can get on the phone with a real member of our team, and they can help you make sure that you're a good fit to join us so that you know you're investing your money smartly before you... Smartly, that was the dumbest thing to say. So that you can feel confident that we have what you need. And we're pretty picky about who we work with too. If we don't think we can help you, or you have some issues that are outside of what our program does, then we can refer you to someone else too. So I'm really looking forward to speaking with you and meeting you. And I hope that you can find some answers to your questions. If you need help, we're here. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next video. Bye.